mountains. So the question is, what is really happening? What really happens, now this is a carryover from last week where I was talking about the Earth and a large object coming by in outer space. It doesn't collide, it just comes near and sets up a differential gravitational wave. And what happens, that wave comes along, and then what happens to a wave of land when it hits a mountain range? It's going to compress, and that's where all of the energy is going to focus, and it's going to create these upthrust mountains. Now, in a minute, I'll show you a lot of photos of the peaks of mountains. The peaks of mountains are jagged, they're all ripped up. These things happen overnight in a single day. The ancients talk about this. There were events where there was mountain building, where the oceans, great tidal waves came over the land, killed a lot of people. Some of them survived to tell the tale. And so the foothills, these rolling foothills that are typically outside of the edges of mountains, that's where the waves come in, and finally that's on the plains, the valleys that are adjacent to the mountains, and then that energy is thrust and stops because there's a mountain range there. So you find the mountain ranges, go to the Himalayas, the Rockies, the Alps, the Andes, go to any mountain range, and what you're going to find is you're going to find many epochs of mountain building. One of the great places to go see this is the southern Colorado Rocky Mountains. And you can see the waves of mountain building came in from many different directions, depending on the direction that these objects come from outer space. So once again, here we have a model of the Earth, the magma. We have a so-called continental plate, which is just earth piled up on top of the magma, and it's cooler, so it's relatively solid. We have the ocean here. The dotted line is the average mean radius of planet Earth, a volcano where the magma gets up very close to the surface, and then a mountain range up to 6 miles high. And so this is an actual model of the Earth. It's not really to proportion, but once again, to repeat, the idea that somehow there's a force here that comes up from the center of the Earth that then creates a perpendicular force, that's ridiculous, that's absurd. That's what I call silly science. It's in the realm of science that is so absurd, the only thing you can do is call it silly science. And then you're expected to believe that this plate moves along and pushes in another perpendicular direction all of this mass of mountain to create the mountains of the world. It's absolutely absurd. So the real cause of this is when large celestial objects come by and create a gravitational wave. Those gravitational waves move in the land, form the rolling hills, what we call foothills of mountain ranges. You always see them. They start to come up to a mountain range from 1,500 miles away, and they start to have some undulating hills, and then eventually you get quite a few hills, and then the mountain range. Those mountains, those hills, the foothills of the mountains are part of the wave action as it's building up, and then that wave crashes into the mountain with all of this land being thrust up in a few hours, literally in a few hours. And you can see the jagged peaks of these mountain ranges. It tells the tale. Those were not formed over millions or billions of years of slowly moving a centimeter per 10 years or whatever goofy story they try and pawn off. And this is in the textbooks. That's what I can't believe. They're teaching this plate tectonics to kids and all the way up to PhD level. It's absolute nonsense.